good, y'all? Welcome back to another episode of the Radiant Thoughts podcast. It's your favorite host, KP.
It's your girl, Tori J.
And we back with another episode for y'all, man. Before we even get started, be sure to like this, comment, subscribe, hit the bell to be notified whenever we drop an episode. Be the first person to know as soon as we drop every Sunday. You know what I'm saying? And be sure to follow us on IG at Radiant Thoughts _ It's going to be down here somewhere, you know what I'm saying? And we're going to get back to posting our content how we supposed to be posting it. I've been slacking. So my apologies, but we're going to get back on it. But yeah, before we get started, share this out, like, comment, subscribe, do all that good stuff. But let's get into it.
So today I wanted to talk about a topic that I feel like has been more prevalent now with a lot of people. And that is moving from your hometown. And why you should move from your hometown.
Why you should? Because you should. I think you should.
I think so too. So I have a list here of like pros of why moving from your hometown is beneficial. So let's see our thoughts on that. So the first one is gaining independence and personal growth. How do you feel about that? Moming
away, it'll force you to because you're not around any of like the support system to where you can always run back to mommy and daddy. You know, you got to kind of be independent and do everything on your own. So it kind of gives you a sense of like adulthood, yeah. Kind of, I guess. Yeah. So I think that's a pro for most people, but like some people that might break people down because some people ain't ready for it.
I mean, but you'll never know until you try. So how do you feel like, I know you've been gone from home for 6 years now. When do you feel like you started to feel that independence?
I mean, I felt the independence in college when I first was there my freshman year, but that was just me realizing like I don't have nobody over my shoulder telling me what to do. But as far as like adulting independence, probably when I moved into my apartment and I had to pay bills and stuff. I was like, oh, all right, this is it. It kind of forced me to get on my stuff a little bit more, which I was never just like a slacker, but it forced me to get right for sure. So what about you?
I feel like maybe my second year. So my second year of college is when I got my apartment. But I think, I feel like, even though I was at home, I feel like during COVID, because that's when like I was making money to where I didn't like normally before I would like go home and be like, oh, can I get some money to go do it? You know? And so I was making money during COVID and then like buying stuff from my apartment and just doing all this stuff on my own. Right. So I think that's when I started to feel like independence.
I kind of forgot about the COVID situation, because that I did when I was making money in COVID. I wasn't asking nobody for honestly, I haven't really asked my parents for money or anything, since like I started working a job. But at that point, it wasn't nothing that I really just needed to. I wasn't paying for nothing. But I didn't need to ask them to like go buy me some socks or something like that. You know what I'm saying? But I do understand though, like at that point in time, because I was doing the same thing when I got my apartment, which I think I got my apartment. That was the same year I think I got my apartment. And you buying stuff and you realizing like, oh, I kind of got to get all this stuff on my own.
I feel like for me
insane.
Too, it was like, so when COVID happened, I had already signed my lease for my apartment. Like COVID happened in March. That's when it like started. I had signed that lease already in February. So like we were supposed to move in August. If I hadn't already signed the lease, like I probably would have been fine. But like my mom was like, do you want to stay home or do you want to move? And I still was like, no, I'm still going to leave. I'm still going to leave. So I think that's when I was like, all right,
Yeah, for sure.
So like for personal growth, I think it helps build who you are, like without your comfortability of being at home. Does that make sense? Like, when I came to college, I didn't come here with like anybody that I already knew, like nobody from Saginaw came here that I knew. So I was like all by myself. Yeah. And so I didn't have no choice but to like figure out who I was outside of being at home, because it was just me. Nobody knew me. So it was like a time to like,
I had my boys with me. I had everybody I knew. Shout out B. Shout out Zay. Shout out Zach.
So speaking of meeting new people and expanding your circle.
Yeah, that, like I said, I had my homeboys with me. So, I mean, initially, I went where I was comfortable. Like, all right, me and Brian lived on the same floor. I'm finna go hang with Brian first. I hit Isaiah up immediately. Bree was already there. Zach was already there. And somebody else was there too. But, sorry if I'm forgetting you. But, like, I already had that connection. So I'm like, all right, I'm gonna go hang with them. And then eventually started, connecting with new people. We met my guy RJ, which RJ introduced us to Jib, which Jib was my roommate in my apartment. So like, and me and him real close, real good relationship. So like, it was easy because it was college, because everybody's like around you living in a apartment basically with a bunch of 18-year-olds that was in the freshman dorms. So like, everybody was just right there. So it was kind of, you're forced to mingle in a way. And so I built the relationship with people like that, just, and it was cool. It wasn't hard. You like to call me a social butterfly anyway.
He is, y'all.
So it just was kind of easy to create relationships, and I'm not a social butterfly. I just talk to who I talk to.
You talk to everybody.
I
didn't have that experience. So when I got to college, I lived in the dorms where all the athletes lived. Somehow I ended up over there. And so I didn't really I didn't talk to nobody in that dorm for real. Like my roommate, but other than that, like everybody that I knew from my class lived on the other side of campus with all three of like the valleys. And we didn't live over there. So my experience was a little bit different. I think just finding like those few friends that, and then of course joining a sorority kind of helped with that. So just having more resources.
So she had me, so it's okay.
You weren't here.
She didn't need friends.
You weren't here.
I was there.
Career advancement opportunities in new location. I think that's important. Yeah. Because I feel like, I'm just going to give an example. So say we're back home in Saginaw. We know just about everybody in Saginaw. Our parents know just about everybody in Saginaw. So I feel like your chances of finding a job are better because you know the people there. Right. But I feel like being on your own, somewhere where people don't know you, and you get that job, you're like, okay, I actually, had the for sure eligibility to actually do this job on my own.
It wasn't through like put a word in for it wasn't referral. So
granted, referrals are great.
Referrals are excellent,
but like it's just like a proof to yourself that like I got this.
Yeah. And I think that probably more so means like just relocating for a job in general. Like, a lot of times people have jobs here and there's a job on the table somewhere else, and it kind of like just what we talked about, just give you new scenery though, still in general, because like, all right, I got to relocate for this job. That's a big step to have to take when you comfortable where you at.
But why not take that step to see if it's worth it?
And I think that's what I was getting at. Yeah, it could change your life. Yeah. And so that's what I was getting at. I think it's just important to be able to take a stab at something and just see how it turns out. I think just taking the steps in general, even if it don't work out, even if you fail, you got the experience, you know what it's like. Even if you have to come back home, like, okay, I tried this and I can try again, and I know what to do differently this time. Right. So I think that's like, because a lot of people have those like scenarios come up and don't take it and kind of sit where they at and like constantly, I should have did this or I should do this, but you didn't jump on the opportunity that you had when you had it.
Question. Let's give you a scenario. Say we were living in Saginaw and you had like a salary job somewhere, you're making good money. Say you got an opportunity to get a job elsewhere. They offered you the position. Say it was like $5,000 less a year. Would you take it?
$5,000 less a year to move? I'm not going to take less to move.
You wouldn't? Depending on what it is and depending on where it is.
It depends on what job I'm doing.
I probably would.
What's my salary?
80.
80, and I'm going to drop to take 75 to go somewhere else? Nah, because I would have moved with the 80.
Okay.
So
I honestly, and I think depending on what it is, how much it was and where it was, I probably would.
Yeah, all the stars have to line.
Because I don't know, I just feel like, and this is just my personal opinion, me being in Saginaw with money means nothing because I'm not gonna enjoy it.
You're tripping. In
Saginaw, I mean, I'm just saying, tripping. If I can go to Texas or somewhere where there's more opportunities in general.
Money is money no matter where it's at.
All right.
Money is money wherever, regardless. Now, having the opportunity to spend the money differently is probably what you're getting at.
Sure.
But I ain't trying to spend the money anyways. I'm
just saying, just taking the opportunity to be able to experience better.
Now, if you say I was going from 80 to 100, I'm gone.
Well, yeah, anybody's going. I don't care.
Yeah, I'm not moving somewhere where, say, if I had to move from Saginaw to Dallas, I got a job offer in Dallas. I was making 80. The offer down there is 75, where the cost of living is much higher. I'm just saying in general. If those factors weren't all tied in. No, I'm not moving to take less.
No, I probably would. Not gonna lie.
That's interesting.
I might.
That's interesting.
I might.
That's interesting.
I just feel like because the opportunities would be so much greater there that you might even end up getting something so much
opportunities. I mean, you could get more opportunities in a bigger area for sure, but I guess I get what you're getting at, but you have to be into other stuff as well, though.
Well, yeah. I mean, okay, I guess if the job was you're well off, the money, you're good either way.
Well off with 80.
I'm just saying, that was the first number that came to my mind, okay. But I'm just saying in the sense that it was where you're comfortably living off of what you're making already. So it's
so it wouldn't be a burden,
right,
to go move out of state,
yeah,
and make the same thing.
That's what
I guess. Okay,
maybe I didn't explain that.
No, you didn't.
Better, but
yeah, there you go. Because I'm not just taking less and especially if I'm moving and finna start making less. Yeah. Nah, you can miss me with it.
Maybe I didn't explain it very well. Sorry. But, okay. So my next one is being free from negative influences in where you currently live.
Absolutely. I think that's more so for people that grew up in places that we grew up.
Yeah, so y'all are tripping right now.
Yeah, I don't know
what is going on.
The eclipse got them tripping.
They was tripping before the eclipse.
But they really been tripping after the eclipse. What's going on? What the moon do to y'all, man? Nah, yeah, I think, because going back home, you can easily get involved in stuff, even if you're not into nothing. I'm not into anything.
You could just be in the wrong place. I mean, granted, violence happens everywhere. Yeah,
violence happens everywhere. So I ain't saying you can't have nothing happen to you wherever you move to. But I think you're more prone to be in certain areas that stuff might happen in Saginaw. And so whenever you go there, I know when I go there sometimes, and it's almost every time I go home, something happens.
Every day I open Facebook and I see a news headline every day.
When I just was there,
or something. It's something.
I just was there and I opened the phone and somebody got stabbed. And I'm like, what is going on? Yeah. And so it's just you're more susceptible to being in certain environments when you are when you have people that you want to visit that are in those environments, or just living there. Even me going back home, and I know all right, I'm finna go to such and such house. I know where they live at, and I know it's in a particular neighborhood that's subject to crazy stuff.
So with that though, okay, you know that they're in that area, yet you still go over there. But say you were out of town somewhere and you knew that the area was bad, you don't go over there. What's the difference? Because you're comfortable.
You don't know nobody. You don't know nobody out of town. So you might know that the area is bad, but when you don't have nobody over there to visit, you're not gonna go.
Right.
But if my grandma, which my grandma does stay in the hood, I go visit my grandma in the hood. I'm not gonna go visit my grandma just because where she live at. But I do understand people not going in places, not putting themselves in situations because of where somebody lives at, for sure. Just to go and be hanging out and dangling outside, absolutely not.
Yeah.
But if I'm gonna go visit my grandma, that's kind of it's kind of a little bit different in my opinion. But I feel like though, you just too close to negativity. Like at least for going back to Saginaw, it's just too easy to get involved into the wrong stuff because, for one, like you said, there's nothing to do. So the things that you're going to do are going to be, you know, BS.
Yeah.
And so with that BS comes the stuff that you don't want to come. So it's just too easy to, because you're also comfortable too. And you feel like, oh, you know, I'm just going to go do this and I can just go over here and like, you never know where they lurking. You never know where you're lurking. So it is easy to get involved in negativity going. And I think leaving, it's like I said, when I left for Pontiac and I was down there, I was amongst negativity, but like, I ain't really like know or feel no type of way.
Yeah.
I mean, I ain't gonna say I ain't know, because I did know of what was going on a little bit, but like, I had no ties to nothing. I had no friends in areas where that, you know, so I stayed in my own bubble.
Okay, so then I would say like the only con that I can think of maybe of moving away from home would be like missing out on family functions and like all of that type of stuff. But in turn, I feel like you're moving away, that gives your family opportunity to come away. Well.
Everybody not financially savvy enough.
Yeah, I know.
But I do, because that's one thing that I hate. Like every Sunday, we go to my grandparents' house. And that's something that I miss out on because I go to work Mondays and I got to get my sleep. And I can't drive 2.5 hours back home to be there every single Sunday. Now, I do make some of the Sundays for sure, but like family things, in fact, like that's something that has always been like something that we always done. So like being like having to miss out on that type of stuff, I don't enjoy, because like I would love to be there and be at the gatherings and see my people, and that's just kind of how I am. Some people don't really care about that.
I would say my family's not that close that we don't really do stuff like that. So I mean, that's a little different for me, but
we're a little family oriented a little bit. We try to be, you know what I'm saying? But that's one con, but then I think a con could be just the financial strain it puts on yourself.
Yeah.
So, because you don't have the people around you that could help you if you need it.
Right.
You know, but I think that makes you get on your stuff.
I feel like too, okay, I'm gonna ask you this. How do you feel about people that just be like, just take the chance, get up and go? I'm not going nowhere unless I got some money.
I'm not going nowhere to struggle. I'd rather struggle with people that I know around me. I ain't gonna lie. I feel like I
would never move unless I had like a couple $1,000s.
A couple?
Like more than 5 for sure.
You better move with more than 5.
I'm just saying, for the people that's like, oh, I left with $20 in my pocket, and like, no.
This thrift shop?
Yeah, I don't know. Like, you didn't even have gas to make it down there.
Nah. I mean, I some people do up and just take that chance and just go. I wouldn't say that's a good idea, but it works for some people. If you're gonna get down there, you're gonna start working and you can get yourself a living arrangement. But like, if I'm gonna struggle and try to get out the struggle, I'm gonna do it where I'm comfortable at. I mean, but also
it builds character.
Also, though, if you do leave and you struggle and you get out of that struggle, that kind of probably builds more character. Yeah. Because I did it all alone out here. And like we just talked about, being around the negatives, while you're struggling here, it's so easy to just say, like, for your homeboy to call you, be like, hey man, we got this going on tonight, pop out. And you go do it. But when you out there,
you ain't got nothing to do. You don't know nobody, go to work.
Yeah, exactly. So I can see why people, but I'm not trying to struggle nowhere. Well, so I'm not leaving, because when I leave, I want to live a certain type of life. So I'm not going to leave and be like, yeah, I'm finna go struggle, because if you're going to struggle, you're going to be in the worst parts of Saginaw, leave, go to the worst parts of wherever you move into, which causes for the same things. You know, people that oh, I'm leaving to go to Texas because it ain't as bad, get a rude awakening when they get to Texas and they realize where they got to live at, and then they come back. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, leave with some money in your pocket.
Yeah,
don't just leave broke. Don't leave broke, because that's going to leave you broke.
Yeah.
And I'd rather be broke around help than broke around. Because what if I got to get back? What I'm going to do? How you going to get back? You know what I'm saying?
You
so it's
spent your $20 that you had.
You just spent your little $20 that you had. You know what I'm saying?
I don't know. But yeah, I don't agree with that. That luck doesn't happen for everybody.
No, I don't.
So I don't want to say don't take chances, but I wouldn't chance that.
take calculated chances.
Yeah,
know when, like, you have to be aware of the opportunities when they come around. You know what I'm saying? Like, but when the opportunity that you have comes and it's a good one, you got to take it. But I wouldn't take no opportunities that gonna leave me broke and stranded. Yeah.
So what has your experience been since moving away from Saginaw, and like what have you learned in the process?
My experience has been like, I think I've had a good experience because I was always focused. No matter, like, if it was like, all right, I got to go get a job, you know, I went and got a job and did what I had to do. Or if I was in school, you know, I took care of my business in school. So like I wasn't too, what's the word I'm looking for? Distracted. I feel like I always had a plan on whatever I was doing, whether I was working or, you know, whatever. So I think my situation has been good. You know, I was 18 when I left. So like I was just going to go to college then. But like when I did at 20 get my own apartment, that's when a lot of things changed, and like I had to become an adult. So, but one thing I learned though, that like when you are on your own, that like nobody's coming to save you. That's one thing I learned. Nobody is coming to save you. You got to do this on your own. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. You know, it helps you build up the courage to do things on your own. Like going forward, it puts you in a situation to where you grow into the person that you're supposed to be. You know, you build up courage, you build up confidence to do certain things, and you literally become a different person. I feel like it gives you that character to be able to handle things on your own. Like I ain't gotta go back and ask mama and dad for nothing. Like I know I can do it here. So I think that's like the main thing that I learned. Like nobody gonna, when your bill's late, your bills is late. That don't affect nobody but you. And I never been the type to ask for help. So if I get to the point to where I gotta ask for help, like I must be like real down bad. But like I'm just gonna find a way to do it on my own. I think that's what that gave me, like being out there, because I was in situations where I'm like, all right, I'm on my last couple dollars. I gotta get some money. Yeah. Or I gotta stop doing what I'm doing, and like it just forces you to put yourself on a different path, I feel like. So since leaving, I feel like I've become a way better person, although I was a teenager fresh out of high school when I left. But I literally haven't, like, besides that time for COVID, haven't been back to literally live. So when you no, you go ahead. So when you decided to not be in school anymore, what was your like reasoning for still staying away from home? I didn't want to go back. At first I looked at it like, okay, people gonna be like, dang, he back in Saginaw. Because I've heard people say that when people come back, like, yep, he ain't last out there. He came right back to Saginaw. So it was always the negative thought about it. Although, like, I did technically end up moving back when I started driving trucks, but I was never there. Right. I was on the road. But, like, I feel like being away was going to allow me to grow a lot more. Because even in the situation with me driving trucks, I put myself in those situations in order for me to like force myself to do something. Like I know if I go home, whenever I get home and I'm just visiting, I get comfortable. And like being there kept me away. Like I was comfortable in Pontiac where I was at, but like it kept me away from that extreme comfortability to where I wasn't going to be able to grow and do stuff. And then getting in the truck forced me to grow. You know what I'm saying? So like being away, staying away, even when I left school, really forced me to like apply myself to figure out whatever I had to do where I was. And I think that's part of the reason you see this product of me today, because I forced myself to do those things when other people probably would have just ran back to comfort, you know, and I didn't want to be in comfort, you know, I stayed where I was. So, yeah. So what about you?
I feel like my experience has been good overall. I think I've learned a lot about myself over the past couple years. Honestly, I don't think I've ever gotten homesick, though. I will say that. I've never gotten homesick.
I don't think I've necessarily been homesick. I just miss being around certain situations. But like I've always said, I'm not moving back. Yeah, I'm not moving back. That's not an option for me. Yeah.
But overall, I think my experience has been very good. I think I've learned a lot about myself. I feel like I've grown as an individual just from being like a shy little 18-year-old to now. I think one thing I've worked on too is like, I think we talked about this before in another episode, but like unlearning the things that like I did when I was growing up. Absolutely. Like I learned what I like instead of like what my parents like. You know what I mean? And just being able to step into like my own person. Yeah. So I think that's one thing that like really has helped me and like I've evolved since moving out.
Unlearning, like that's a process, because when I was in Pontiac and I was just in my room by myself, I realized like it was a lot of things that I just was like cool with because I was just around it every day. Yeah. Or like that I was dealing with was just because that's what was around every single day. And when you remove yourself from the equation, you get to really see who you are. Yeah.
Like I feel like really I did a lot of stuff beforehand, like when I was in my dorm and stuff, because like that was the rule in my house. And like I make the rules now. Like, you know, I don't have to, you know, do the things that I did before because I was under somebody else's roof. Right. So I would say what I've learned, I think that is like really what I've honestly learned, and just learned how to become my own person, because I feel like, I think I said this in another video too, I grew up with like stricter parents. Right. So I feel like as I was starting to get into adulthood, like I feel like I've done better. I could never make my own decisions. I really couldn't. And like, I didn't feel confident enough to make my own decisions. Right. And like, I've realized now, like, there's no other option. Like, you have to be able to, you know, so.
So what would you tell that person that, you know, that young girl that is thinking about leaving? Like, what advice would you give them? Or even just a young kid in Saginaw.
I would encourage them to move. I would definitely encourage them to move. I wouldn't move if you don't have no money. But I think setting that goal in your mind and working towards that to save the money that you need to move, I honestly do feel like everybody just needs to move out of Saginaw.
Everybody need to move? Everyone.
The younger people. I feel like the younger people, especially because like there's so many people in Saginaw with like businesses and just things like that I feel like they could just flourish so much more if they were to move.
Got you.
What about you?
I would tell them, work on yourself where you at first. If you can't become who you need to be where you are, I feel like when just thinking that when you leave, you'll become this person doesn't really work. You know, it kind of happened for me just because I was already gone. I went through 2 years before I even became started to try to become who I wanted to be. Yeah. So I think if you can work on yourself and get yourself in the right, you know, state that you're comfortable with before even trying to leave, do that first. Because if you can do it there, that means you will freaking excel wherever you go. If you can get right in Saginaw, anywhere else is a breeze. I feel like if you can do whatever you need to do in Saginaw, Michigan, and get yourself right and become this person that you aspire to be, anywhere else in the world is just probably a cakewalk, because it ain't nowhere in the world I feel like Saginaw. And this, I love Saginaw. Shout out to Saginaw, baby. I was born and raised. You made me who I am. You know what I'm saying? But I had to leave you. I had to leave you. I love you, but I had to go. But I feel like what they say in New York, if you can make it here, you can make it anywhere. I feel like if that Saginaw mentality that we like come up with, that we have, if we can really like become who we need to be there, we can become who we need to be anywhere. You know what I'm saying? Like, we can take that and go anywhere. So I feel like work on yourself where you at least start. Don't think that, oh, I'm just leave and become who I need to be, because you're going to leave with the same, you know, tendencies. Yeah. So you have to really want that change in order to just go out there. You're going to go out there and you're going to keep doing the same things you've been doing. You're going to find the ways to do the stuff that you did in Saginaw, or you're going to end up back in Saginaw. So I would say work on the mindset first in order to really grow and expand and become who you want to be when you are away from Saginaw. But I do think leave your hometown. Everybody can't leave Saginaw though, because if we leave Saginaw, it ain't gonna be no Saginaw. In the sense that, like, I feel like everybody should, well, more so the younger people now, I guess, but like experience life. That's what I was gonna say. I feel like everybody should experience life outside of Saginaw. Now, if you get somewhere else and you realize this is not for me, I need to go back home, or financially or whatever happens, situation happens, and you cannot stay where you are anymore, you need to come back home. We're not saying that something is wrong with that at all. I think giving it a try is worth a shot. Yeah, for sure. Because I'm all for like the expansion and the uplifting of Saginaw. If there was more things to do in Saginaw, I honestly wouldn't mind being there. But it's just kind of crazy. It's a little crazy. You know what I'm saying? Because like people in Detroit love Detroit and they stay in Detroit. Yeah. You know, people know those bigger cities like that they have that. Detroit is so big. They have something on one side of town don't affect the other side of town. But like in Saginaw, it's not that same mentality. Like, people be dying to get out of Saginaw. So if you're one of the people that's dying to get out of Saginaw, go. So if you're thinking about moving, leaving your hometown, I know we spoke a lot about Saginaw. That's just where we're from. If you from wherever you are and you have, experienced these same sentiments, leave. This your sign. Take this as a sign. And reach out to the people that you know that have moved and are doing well. Like, get those connections, make those connections, and find those resources to help you. Because it will help you in the long run, having a community where even if you don't move to where they are, you have people to reach out to that, are doing or have done the same thing that you are trying to do. So with that being said, make sure y'all like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. We at like 121 subscribers. Let's get that up. We trying to get to 150 or 200. You know what I'm saying? We trying to get up there. So get us going. If you know somebody that's thinking about leaving their hometown, share this to them for some motivation. Use this as a tool to get to that point. You know what I'm saying? So with that being said, this was another episode from Radiant Thoughts, and we'll catch y'all on the next one. Peace.